Some people move through life as if nothing can touch them. A rough day at the office? They don't even flinch. Someone disrespects them? They won't so much as blink. Life throws them curveballs, and they just keep moving, treating it like it's no big deal. Meanwhile, most of us get thrown off by the smallest things. A strange text, being cut off in traffic, or a random online comment. Suddenly we're in a bad mood, overthinking everything. It feels like we have no say over our emotions. But here's the truth, you do have control. You just haven't learned how to use it. The individuals who remain calm and undisturbed have unlocked something powerful, a truth the ancient Stoics grasped long ago. When you stop allowing the outside world to dictate your inner state, you gain freedom. You become strong, truly untouchable. And that's precisely what this video explores. How to stop giving your energy to things that don't deserve it, how to move beyond reacting, and how to begin living with genuine peace. If this resonates with you, there's one small action you can take that truly helps us continue this work. Just hit that subscribe button. It's free and means a lot. Now, let's dive in. Have you ever paused to consider how much of what bothers you isn't truly real? Not in the way you might think, at least. You're not reacting to the world itself. You're reacting to what you believe the world signifies. A certain look, a tone of voice, a delay in someone's reply. It's not the event that wounds you. It's the narrative you attach to it. And that's the crucial part no one teaches us as we grow up. We're trained to respond to what we perceive, but never instructed to question how we're perceiving it. This is where many get stuck. We walk around uttering phrases like, "He made me feel stupid," or "That ruined my day." But take a moment to pause. Did that person truly make you feel that way? Or did you assign meaning to their words and allow that meaning to take over your mind? The ancient Stoics stated it clearly. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about those things. This wasn't mere philosophy. It was psychology, centuries before the term even existed. Imagine, you're at the gym. Someone glances at you and frowns. Instantly, your brain kicks in. Are they judging me? Is it how I look? Am I doing something wrong? But perhaps they're simply having a bad day. Maybe they weren't even looking at you. Yet within seconds, you've spiraled into a full mental crisis over a mere assumption, a story, a narrative you conjured out of thin air. Carl Jung once remarked, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This is precisely what's happening. You're not responding to truth, you're responding to projection. Most of us don't perceive the world with clarity. We view it through a haze of past hurts, past rejections, and fears we've never confronted. If your heart has been broken, you perceive love with suspicion. If you've been criticized, you hear judgment in every neutral remark. It's akin to trying to navigate with a cracked lens. Everything feels personal, even when it isn't. Socrates famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." This wasn't about philosophy class. It was about taking responsibility for your perspective. Because until you do, you'll remain caught in a cycle of reaction, where every minor event feels like a threat. And each time you react without pausing, you reinforce the belief that you are powerless, at the mercy of the world. But you aren't. That's the illusion. The world can prod, but only you decide if it hurts. What's actually occurring is this. Your brain is running an old program. It observes something, labels it, and reacts automatically. But what if you could rewrite that code? What if, instead of reacting, you paused? That minuscule space between stimulus and response, that's where your power resides. Aristotle once said, "Anyone can become angry, that is easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not easy." This quote holds the key to emotional intelligence. It's not about stifling emotion. It's about choosing how and when to let it move through you, consciously, not compulsively. Here's the action that will transform your life. Start questioning every emotion you feel, not cynically, but with curiosity. When something upsets you, pause and ask, is this truly about them, or is it touching something within me? That single question can break the spell. It halts the old pattern and opens the door to a new way of seeing. Instead of living like a puppet pulled by every trigger, you start living like a person, clear, grounded, centered. Plato believed that reality is but a shadow of the truth. In other words, most of what you perceive as real is merely a version of it, shaped by your mind. So ask yourself, is this moment truth or just my interpretation of it? And if it's merely a story, do I still wish to keep telling it? The individuals who maintain calm under pressure, the ones who aren't rattled by trivial matters, aren't cold, they are clear. They've trained themselves to cease automatic reactions, and the more they practice that pause, the more inner space they cultivate. That space transforms into peace, that peace into strength, and that strength into a quiet. Power that needs to prove nothing to anyone. And here's the beauty of it all. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware. Every time you catch yourself spiraling and choose not to follow that thought, you win. Every time you pause instead of exploding, you grow. Every time you challenge the story instead of accepting it whole, you reclaim your mind. So the next time something pushes your buttons, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Instead ask, what inside me is allowing this to affect me? That's where the real work begins. That's how you shift from being a puppet of your emotions to becoming the quiet master of your mind. Stoicism wasn't about being emotionless. It was about mastering emotion so that nothing and no one ever controls your peace again. And that truly is real freedom. From the moment you could comprehend words, you were being trained, and not in a beneficial way. You were taught that your value hinges on others' opinions of you, that fitting in matters more than inner peace, that your worth is measured in likes, approval, and applause. And the wild part, you didn't even notice it happening. None of us did. It was the very water we swam in. School, parents, media, culture, all steered you in one direction, cared deeply about what people think. This wasn't accidental. It's systemic. The world around you is constructed to keep you reactive. Consider social media algorithms. They don't reward clarity or calm. They reward outrage, conflict, and comparison. You scroll and suddenly feel your life isn't enough, that you're falling behind, that you're missing out. Why? Because that emotion keeps you hooked. Every like, every comment, every post is designed to keep your attention tethered to external validation. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor and philosopher, once wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject." Yet we chase those opinions anyway, as if they define us. And it doesn't stop there. Marketing is another psychological game. Entire industries exist to first sell you a problem, then offer you the solution. You're too old, too young, too quiet, too loud, too broke, too behind. The message is always the same. You're insufficient, unless you buy this. And the more insecure you are, the more likely you'll make that purchase. That's why your emotional reactivity isn't just a flaw, it's a profit model. The more easily you're triggered, the more predictable and profitable you become. Carl Jung perfectly articulated it when he said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And what better distraction from your soul than being constantly pulled by other people's drama, opinions, or expectations? If you're always reacting, you never become still enough to hear your own thoughts. You never ask yourself, what do I genuinely desire? What truly matters to me? Now, let's discuss relationships, because some of the people closest to you may, perhaps unknowingly, feed off your emotional reactions. Toxic dynamics flourish when you explode, panic, or doubt yourself. They depend on it. If they understand how to push your buttons, they understand how to control you. And that's the uncomfortable truth. The more emotionally reactive you are, the easier you are to manipulate. The moment someone discovers what sets you off, they have you on a leash. Plato once cautioned us, the measure of a man is what he does with power. But the question you need to ask is, who actually holds power over you? Now envision this, a giant control panel strapped to your chest. Every button is labeled insecurity, anger, fear, jealousy, guilt. And everyone around you knows exactly which one to press. Someone hits the insecurity button, and boom, you're spiraling. Someone taps anger, and suddenly you're shouting. That's how most people live. Exposed, vulnerable, easy to provoke. But here's the transformative shift. Imagine unplugging that control panel completely. Imagine someone says something nasty, and you simply don't react. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to retaliate. You don't even feel it in the same way. That's not indifference, that's power. Socrates said, "He who is not a good servant will not be a good master." If you can't manage your own emotions, how can you ever hope to guide your life with clarity? When you unplug from the urge to react, you gain a kind of freedom most people never experience. You're not rushing to explain yourself. You're not overthinking texts. You're not taking things personally that were never about you to begin with. You become steady, like a rock amidst a storm. People begin to notice, not because you're loud, but because your peace is unshakable. And yes, some might call you cold. Let them. What they fail to grasp is that what appears to be detachment is, in fact, discipline. It's you choosing not to hand out your peace of mind like it's free candy. Aristotle stated, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." And when you know who you are, when you are anchored in that knowledge, nobody else's noise can dislodge you. So no, you're not heartless for not reacting. You're not rude for safeguarding your energy. You're simply done letting people toy with your inner world as if it's theirs to disrupt. You've unplugged the panel. You've taken back the controls. And in a world addicted to chaos, that kind of calm is a superpower. And here's the secret. The world doesn't actually want you to be calm. It wants you reactive, impulsive, and easily offended, because that's what keeps the wheels turning. But when you stop giving them that reaction, you break the cycle. You stop being a puppet and start becoming the master of your own reality. That's Stoicism in practice. Not just theory, but daily application. Every time you choose not to react, you train your mind. Every time you protect your energy, you reinforce your freedom. And in that quiet space between what happens and how you respond, you begin to realize nothing external can truly control you unless you allow it. Some believe that remaining calm implies you've stopped caring, that you're passive, weak, detached in the worst sense, cold, distant, emotionally shut off. But let's clarify that right now. True detachment isn't about caring less, it's about caring right. It's about refusing to let every minor thing hijack your peace, because the truth is, the more reactive you are, the more control the world has over you. And if everything affects you, you'll never have the energy to focus on what truly matters. The Stoics had a term for this: apatheia. Not apathy in the modern sense of not caring, but a state of inner calm where your soul remains untouched by chaos. It's the capacity to let the world move around you, not through you. Picture yourself as a strong tree in the wind. The wind is present, the noise is real, but you don't bend to it. You stand rooted, present, powerful. That's what genuine detachment feels like. Step 1 in cultivating that kind of strength: observe, don't absorb. Let's say you enter a room and the atmosphere is tense. People are snapping at each other. You sense that heaviness in the air. The old you might have immediately soaked it up, becoming irritated, defensive, stressed, without even understanding why. But the wiser version of you notice the tension without allowing it to penetrate you. You think, okay, they're going through something, but you don't make it your own. Carl Jung once stated, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." That quote resonates deeply when you realize most of what bothers you isn't personal. It's projection. Now, let's discuss the power of silence. Master the pause. This might be the most underestimated skill in the contemporary world, because the moment someone criticizes us, we're conditioned to retaliate, defend ourselves, prove our worth. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused? Just a breath, a beat. You hold the silence, not out of fear, but because you are in control. That space between what they say and your next action? That's where all your power resides. Marcus Aurelius expressed it perfectly. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. That pause is your power to revoke, and here's where things truly shift. Starve the drama. Because drama thrives on your attention. Gossip, it only spreads when people take the bait. Arguments, they only escalate when both sides keep lighting the fuse. Toxic people, they flourish on your reaction. But when you stop giving them that energy, when you stop feeding the beast, it starves, and eventually it dies. Aristotle once famously said, "To avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing." But here's the twist. It's not about silence for approval. It's about silence for strength. You're not avoiding conflict. You're refusing to participate in nonsense. Now let's be honest, this isn't easy, especially in a world that rewards emotional reactions. The louder, the angrier, the more dramatic you are, the more attention you receive. But that kind of attention, it's empty. It's a fleeting sugar rush. The people who are genuinely strong, they're the quiet ones. The ones who aren't governed by every opinion, insult, or minor setback. Socrates taught that self-control is the bedrock of wisdom. He was not mistaken. When you control your reactions, you're not just sidestepping problems. You're cultivating depth, character, and substance. So no, being unbothered doesn't mean you're cold or distant. It means you've evolved. It means you've reached a point where you understand your peace is too valuable to relinquish. You've realized not every situation merits your energy. Not every argument demands your voice. Not every insult deserves a response. Some things are just noise. And when you stop dancing to the chaos begins to dissipate. Here's the mindset shift. Not everything is about you. Not every tone, look, or delay is a personal attack. And even if it is, that doesn't mean it requires a reaction. You get to choose what enters your mind, what deserves space in your day. And the more you practice this, the lighter you become. The stronger, the more grounded. You begin to feel as though the world can spin wildly, but you remain steadfast. You are clear. You are solid. So when someone tells you you've changed, simply smile, because yes, you have. You're not here to be dragged into every fire. You're here to walk through flames without getting burned. And that, my friend, is what it means to be untouchable. Stoicism doesn't ask you to disregard life. It asks you to master your response to it. And once you accomplish that, once you stop allowing everything to affect you, that's when you finally begin living on your own terms. There comes a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when something clicks within you. It's not dramatic, no fireworks, no profound chant playing in the background, just a simple shift. The kind that feels like breathing clean air for the first time in years. It's the moment you stop caring, not in a negligent or cold-hearted way, but in a wise, measured, deeply liberating way. You stop offering pieces of yourself to things that don't deserve them, and the world, it starts to transform around you. At first it's subtle. People who used to prod at your insecurities retreat. That comment that once would have haunted you for hours, it simply rolls off. The mental tug of war you've been engaging in with people, problems, past regrets, it loosens. You begin to notice how much of your stress was self-inflicted, how many of your battles were with shadows. Most of the things that once consumed your energy, they weren't real in the way you thought. It was your reaction, your attachment, your story. And now, without that reaction, life feels lighter. That's the power of emotional stillness. The Stoics believed that tranquility is the ultimate good. Marcus Aurelius stated it plainly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The moment you cease reacting to everything, the external world begins to lose its grip on your emotions. That's when true strength emerges. Not loud or aggressive, but quiet, calm, unmoving. But here's the thing. Most of us have been conditioned to react from childhood. You get stressed, you panic. Someone criticizes you, you defend, you fail, you spiral. It's as if your brain has pre-installed scripts, and the moment life presses a certain button, boom, you're replaying the same scene. But what if you rewrote the code? What if stress hit, and you simply breathed? No frantic scramble, just a breath. What if criticism landed, and instead of rushing to justify yourself, you smiled? Not because you're passive, but because you're not owned by it. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And once you do, criticism cannot wound you, because you're no longer striving to be someone you're not. Reprogramming your emotional responses doesn't mean becoming numb. It means becoming free. Each time you interrupt your automatic response and do the opposite. Each time you choose calm over chaos, grace over defensiveness, you're constructing a new mental pathway. Slowly, your brain learns. We don't do panic anymore. We don't do drama. We do presence, power, peace. But here's a question that can change everything. What story are you telling yourself right now? Every emotion is linked to a narrative. If you perceive yourself as a victim, you'll carry pain. If you see yourself as the villain, you'll carry shame. But if you decide you're the hero of your own story, then every setback becomes a plot twist. Every insult becomes fuel, and every difficult moment becomes part of your ascent. Plato once said, "The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself." And conquering yourself begins with owning your story. When something triggers you, pause and ask, what frame am I using here? Because you can't always control the facts, but you can always choose the frame. That choice over time transforms your entire emotional landscape. Now let's discuss one of the sharpest tools in your emotional arsenal: disarming people without lifting a finger. There's a kind of power that emanates not from shouting back, but from smiling and remaining still. When someone tries to insult you and you agree, but in your own calm way, it confounds them. It unplugs their power source. You're too quiet. Yeah, I like my peace. You don't care, do you? Not about things that don't matter. You think you're better than everyone? I think I'm better than who I was yesterday. You're not dodging the jab. You're catching it midair and rendering it powerless. That's what Socrates meant when he said, "No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training." It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. But the same applies to the mind. Why grow old without ever training your emotions? Why live your entire life governed by reactions? When you stop caring about meaningless noise, you create space to care deeply about what does matter. You stop expending energy defending yourself, and you start investing that energy in building yourself. You protect your peace as if it's sacred, because it is. You stop fighting battles that aren't yours to fight. You stop proving things to people who have already made up their minds. You stop entertaining drama designed to pull you down. And you start living differently. You enter rooms with presence, not pressure. You approach situations with clarity, not fear. You become the person who doesn't just weather the storm. You are the calm within it. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about the right things. That transformation is rare. Most people never reach it. But if you continue practicing these small, subtle shifts, if you keep questioning your reactions, rewriting your mental scripts, choosing your peace over your pride, then one day you'll look back and realize you didn't just survive life, you mastered it. When you stop letting the world control your reactions, you don't become colder, you become clearer, calmer, stronger. That's the quiet kind of power no one can take from you. And once you taste it, there's no turning back. If this message resonated with something within you, there's another video on the screen right now that will take you even deeper. Trust me, you're going to want to see it. Thank you for being here, for thinking deeper, and for being a part of Stoic Journal. Until next time, stay grounded and keep walking the quiet path.